we'll talk about this game. We didn't talk about the last one, so I think that this is. I think it's good to go ahead and go through this one. All right, so let me bring up the Jazz. Loading on up. I don't know why my computer is acting so slow. I wonder if CP3 is advocating for Castle. I'm sure he is. Steph Castle should be finishing games. I wasn't the only one that called this, but said pretty early on that he'll be a finisher for us. I think I put that on Twitter, that he should be finishing games pretty soon. All right, let's take a look at this game. All right. So first and foremost, look, there's plenty of positives that we can take out of this, plenty of negatives that we can take out of this. But just my overarching thought about this game as a whole is unacceptable. Like I'm not angry. Once again, I'm disappointed. And I know that the Spurs right now, we have health issues. You know, we don't have our coach. I mean, that's a big one. We don't have Jeremy Sohan. That's a probably even big one. We don't have Malachi Branham. You know, he was really beneficial coming off the bench. So yeah, the Spurs are struggling right now. But even with all that being said, just me personally, I know that this is probably a foolish way of looking at it, but having Wembanyama, having Steph Castle, having Barnes, having Chris Paul with that experience, I think you still pull away with this game. You should have still pulled away with a win, especially with how well Devin Vassell played his first game back. I was very disappointed that this game ended in a L. Like I was not expecting that. And anything less than a blowout, I probably would have been a little disappointed. But just keep in mind, Jazz is a very bad team. Like the Spurs aren't looking the best right now, but the Jazz are very bad. Like they're not good at. They're very bad. They are tanking beyond tanking, right? And I felt like the Spurs gave them way too much momentum, gave them way too much room, and I don't know. I didn't like it. Since quarter one, it felt weird, and I felt like we might not pull away with this win. But there are some positives from this game. We'll go over every single individual player or what I've seen, but honestly, nothing's really changed since last time. Just a couple players that I was really happy with. But one positive from this game is, and actually for the season, I think Spurs have been much better going into third quarters than they have last season. Going into this third quarter, they came in hot, had 37 points to Jazz 29, which was very impressive. And that basically kept you in the game. And then at that point, we were just on the edge of our seats in the fourth quarter to see what happens next. But yeah, they came with the fight in third quarter. And I haven't seen them lay down a lot going into the second half of games since last season. So that's good. Clan forgot about Jones. Oh, yeah. Trey Jones, obviously. Trey Jones is a big... We haven't had him for so long till I kind of forgot. But yeah, Trey Jones is a huge piece to the puzzle because he runs the offense so efficiently. Now, Castle can run the offense as well, and he does a good job. But Trey Jones, obviously, with his experience and how well he ran it last season, it's a big difference. And you can run them together. You can put Castle out there with anybody, basically. Just as long as you're not moving him to power forward or, center, you're fine. But, yeah, he can be anywhere on the court and be totally good. All right, so player to player, Julian Champagnie, once again, kind of a lukewarm, not so great game, right? Shooting wise, that is. Defensively, he's still him. I think that he's a really good defender. But like I said before, him starting isn't the best thing in the world. So we'll just have to wait and see how that goes. But him coming off the bench is going to be so much better, and people are going to love him again, right? But right now, 1 for 6, no one's talking about Julian Champagnie if he's not hitting his threes. Harrison Barnes, he's going to be around this range regardless. There's going to be a few games where he can get close to 20, but more often than not, at his age, we're probably looking at just a nice, solid game each time out. And I think he did a pretty good job. Victor did really well. Shot selection didn't change that much, so we're going to be just hot and cold every single game, right? The fan base, that is. Like, we're going to come in and say, oh my God, Victor, why did you shoot so many threes? And then we're going to have games where we're saying, oh my gosh, Victor, he had this many points. That was great. But at the end of the day, The Spurs have been very adamant that they're okay with him shooting this amount. And yeah, so there's nothing to really, there's nothing I can really like yell at the Spurs about, you know? It's like there's nothing I can really get upset about, because at this point he hasn't really had a full offseason to immerse and work on his game. And then all of these games, they're constantly double teaming him, and his big weakness is actually guards guarding him, because he's kind of a big guard himself. So it's been pretty rough for him for the most part. But this game, it was not bad whatsoever. Over 50%, 6 for 9 from 3. I mean, that's really impressive, but we can't expect that every game. So we're going to be up and down. We just got to accept the fact that this is his shot selection right now until, you know, he gets to work on a little bit more facets of his game. And we'll have games where, you know, we win because of how well he shot, but you know, he's not the best shooter in the world. But overall, dude, I mean, gosh, even me sitting here and being kind of like, I guess I said lukewarm before, but being kind of lukewarm about the shooting selection and all that, dude, he had 24 points, 16 rebounds, and 7 blocks, which is crazy. 6 turnovers isn't great, but that's kind of incredible. Wemby a joke? Wemby's not a joke. The Spurs are trash, won't get better from IC. They are much better from last season. And, you know, like I said, we have a lot of injuries too. Not trying to have any excuses here. I think we still should have won this game, but yeah, it's not get too crazy. They're not trash. They're much better. He's just trolling. Oh, okay. Anyways, Chris Paul 0 for 6. But he had 9 assists, which, yeah, that's probably what we expect. Steph Castle, dude. Man. He's really good. He's really good. He looks like a veteran. Sometimes he makes mistakes, obviously, like anybody, but dude, this was a very impressive game. 8 for 16, 3 for 7. One thing that I love about Castle is nothing's forced. He goes at his own pace. He makes good decisions. Very high basketball IQ, great defense. But what I really love, man, is just no forced shots from him. Every shot that he takes is a pretty good one, right? Like there's very few times where I thought, oh my gosh, Castle, why did you take that shot? Like most of the time, they're pretty good shots. Very smooth. Oh crap, 35 minutes and Castle put in work. Yeah, dude, they really relied on him. I think another reason why he got so many minutes is, if you recall, Jeremy Sohan was getting a lot of minutes as a defender, a perimeter defender. And obviously with him being gone, you know, someone has to make up for that. So Steph Castle did a lot of, he was great offensively, but defensively, he had basically the toughest assignments. Moving on, Zach Collins. I was not crazy about his game. I'm not one that, you guys know, I never like talk that much trash about Collins. You know, I understand that he's a power forward put in a position that just isn't his natural position, and we're kind of force feeding that. But I'll just be honest. This game was like, ugh. I was not that crazy about his game. Defense just wasn't the best. Multiple fouls. I mean, how many fouls did he have? 4. Yeah, four personal fouls. In 15 minutes is, oh my gosh, it's not good. But anyways, moving on. Mamu barely played. We won't talk about him. We all love him here. Keldon Johnson, he had one big 3 at the end. Gosh, I know you guys get tired of me talking trash about Keldon. It's like the same thing every time though. Like, I have nothing new to say. Just 4 shots. I felt like the Jazz took advantage of him quite a bit. Like they went at him quite a bit. But he did hit that big shot at the end, which was great. But overall, I'm just not. I haven't been hype on some of his game. But he did have like a really nice block. He had 2 blocks, but he had 1 block that was really nice. Showed his athleticism there. He always plays hard, and I think that that's what keeps a lot of people holding on. But it felt as if every single time he was on the court, they were able to attack us, right? Like they went at Keldon, they were able to attack, they were able to score. It just felt like that. Well, actually, you know, it kind of shows in the stats a little bit too. I know it's a team stat here, the plus minus, but he had the worst plus minus on the team with -18. So yeah, they were able to attack when Keldon was on the court. Not all his fault, obviously. Like he's not gonna be out there with the best lineups since he's coming off the bench, but still, just not the best. Devin Vassell, I cannot believe he's been injured. Like when they said that he was ready to go, they meant he was ready to go. Like he started off a little slow, kind of like he missed like 2 shots, and then he just went off. He just looked incredible from there. Hoping that this continues. We're gonna need him every game, even when everyone comes back, even when Malachi comes back, even when Sohan comes back. I still want Devin Vassell taking about 15 shots, 15 to 20 shots. He has to. Very poor awareness. Are we talking about Keldon? We played too much small ball. Well, it's weird that we haven't even played Bassey, but I guess if Bassey's on the court, that's also small ball. He's not the tallest guy in the world. Anyway, but Devin Vassell was great. Blake Wesley. Man, I don't know how to describe Blake Wesley. Defensively, effort-wise, is there. I'm being convinced more and more every single game that he cannot run an offense efficiently. That is, I don't think that that's going to be the case, especially when you start going against teams that are very good defensively. I just don't think he'll be able to run an offense, and I don't feel comfortable when the ball is in his hands right now. With that being said, he's still super young, right? I do love his defense. That'll always give him minutes. I love his effort. I love his energy. And hopefully down the line, we see a Blake Wesley that's shooting the 3 better. We see a Blake Wesley that's taking, better shots. It's just right now, it's starting to feel like, okay, what has improved? Tighter handles, for sure, and athleticism. But that's frustrating because during the preseason, I thought it was way more that improved. But now that we're going against like NBA competition. I mean, I know preseason NBA competition, but we're in the regular season now. It kind of disappeared a little bit. Not the best. So I'm not gonna harp on this or talk trash about him because I do like Blake Wesley a lot. I'm just kind of in a weird place with them right now. Just how is he gonna fit later? Not saying it's impossible, just I don't know. And I still do like Wesley on the court with Castle more often than not. Oh yeah, that's true too. Hopefully City can improve his game and eventually help us out. Yeah, that would be nice. So that's all I really got for this game in particular. Wasn't bad, wasn't terrible. It is what it is. But it's all right. Spurs didn't do bad. They did fine. They did fine. It's just against the Jazz, you could have done way better, right? You could have done way, way better. So as far as shooting wise, this is another thing too that kind of shocked me. We took a lot of threes, man. 47 threes. We took nearly 50 threes. Now at the end of the day, it was 36%, which is okay. But when you take that many threes, and you saw it in this game, right? Actually, hold on. I wonder if it comes up. But when you take a lot of threes like that, it usually results in a lot of fast break points. Did they show that on here? Okay, actually, it didn't result in a lot of fast break points. 15. Seems like the big difference here, you gotta control the paint. The big difference here was the Jazz had 54 points in the paint. 54 points in the paint, opposed to our 34. So yeah, you can't allow that. You can't allow that. Any other assessments from this game that you guys notice? First half felt like we were rushing and chucking. Sure. We were chucking. Sure. Humiliating loss tonight. That's pretty strong language, but yeah, you don't lose to the Jazz. You're too good to lose to the Jazz. Even when we're losing or we don't have certain players, you don't lose to the Jazz. Let's see. What's another one we got? No one can break down a defense on his team consistently. Keldon is the only driver on this team currently healthy, but he always end up in no man's land. Yeah, his defense is pretty bad, dude. Defense is pretty bad. It was one play in particular where no reason for him doing this, mind you, no reason. Victor Wembanyama was on Lauri Markkanen, or it's Lowry, right? Lauri Markkanen, and Keldon came off of his guy to help Wemby, and it left a wide open lane for Clarkson to take a floater in the lane. It was no reason for him to do that. I was like, oh my goodness, dude. Like, just gave him that shot. I did not understand that. Victor can hold his own. I don't know what you're doing. Just gave him the lane. Keldon should be benched the whole fourth quarter. Give Julian those minutes. Yeah, the Spurs seem to have this tendency where they're giving Keldon. It's not that Keldon shouldn't get minutes, okay? So let's say that right off the bat, because there's going to be a lot of people that are like, oh, why are you always hating on Keldon? It's not that Keldon shouldn't get minutes. It's just that the type of player that Keldon is, he should not be in the game heavily in the fourth quarter. His play style is very much so a spark plug, right? Like, he come in, give you some energy, and he sit back down. Like, I don't think, and that's like maybe the beginning of the third, maybe the beginning of the fourth, right? But I don't think that Keldon is a player that you can rely on down the stretch. I just don't think that. You know, second quarter, you know, starter, you know, the team's struggling a little bit. You need a basket, throw him in there. Like, it has to be that type. I don't think he can have a role like Devin or like Castle or like Wemby or like Sohan. I just don't think he can have that. Sohan, right? Sorry. I always say it wrong. I think I've gotten so used to saying Sohan. It's Sohan, right? Sohan. Looking like it's going to be tough to get in the play-in. Oh, I'm not expecting the Spurs to get in the play-in. I'm still sticking with my 44. All right, I'm sticking with my 44 wins. But then again, that's still not enough, I think, to get into the play-in. So, tanking for Trey Johnson is coming. I understand we are missing 3 players, but Keldon's low IQ isn't an option to close games. You just can't close games with them. You can't. You just can't close games with them. There's so many plays where I felt like the ball is moving fairly well, and maybe you need one more pass. And Keldon isn't necessarily wrong for thinking this, because he's done this so many times, but Keldon will get the ball and he sees one man in the paint and he just goes in his chest. Not necessarily wrong to think that he can't make that shot. You know, he shouldn't think that he can't make that shot, because more often than not, yeah, he can if it's one player. But at the same time, I don't know, man. You're letting the defense off easy, and when you start getting into those fourth quarters and teams adjust and they're ready, you know, and they're clutching, and they're gonna stop you. You know, it's gonna look ugly. But I think most importantly, defensively is where we're losing with Keldon. It's just not there. It should have been Mamu instead of Keldon. This keeps happening. So, yeah, I don't know. I know some people have speculated, like, are they doing this because they're planning to trade Keldon? I just don't think the Spurs are going to, like, actively lose games just for the sake of showing other teams Keldon. I just don't think that's the case. Keldon is pretty established. I think a lot of GMs and teams, you know what they're getting with Keldon. Like, he's known around the league. They know how to prepare for him. You know what you're getting. I don't think that the Spurs have to go out of their way to show Keldon off to other teams. But like I said, on a positive note, Steph Castle was very clutch. Devin Vassell was clutch. And Keldon hit a really nice 3-point shot at the end. But yeah, he just defensively is where we lose to him. Make a Keldon calling package at the end of the trade deadline, and I'm gonna be a happy fan. I feel you. Get rid of Wesley. Wesley's so young till I'm just kind of like, how can we use him? You know, I'm not fully off the Blake Wesley, you know, bandwagon here. Like I'm just kind of like, how can we use him? What can we do there? It's possible. I definitely think it's possible. It's just we're in a weird spot right now with all these injuries. We can't figure much out on how we can use him effectively. That'd be impossible. Trying to figure out how to use Blake Wesley? I don't think so. Keldon doesn't know where the help comes. He thinks all he needs to do is beat his man, and no one will be at the rim to meet him, there to deter him. Yeah, and like I said, he lets the defense off easy, I think, too often. He let them off easy. One extra pass is when things start getting deadly. One extra pass is when teams start to worry about if that pass is coming. But if Keldon has the ball in their hands and they know for a fact, oh, he's just going to drive straight in. Like, it's so easy to adjust to that. There's no second guessing. There's no, oh my goodness, wait, you know, Keldon's driving, but I probably need to hold on to my guy right now. Like, people can just come help whenever they really want to. Keldon always messing up switches. That's another thing. Yeah, defensively always messing up switches. I did not like I said, that play earlier, I did not understand why he tried to help Wemby with Lauri Markkanen. I do not understand that. I don't know. Oh yeah, true. Leave a like. Leave a like under this video, guys. Your message just brought that up. Leave a like under this video. Vassell, Sohan, Wemby, Castle, Paul. Here's dreaming. No, I don't think that's a dream. No, dude, I don't think that's a dream. I think that's becoming more of a reality, that will be the starting lineup. Yeah, real talk. I think they're going to try to hold on to having our boy. Gosh, I don't know why it takes so long to load. Almost there. Come on. There we go. They're going to try to hold on to having our boy Barnes in the starting lineup, but I really do think that's a possibility, a huge possibility. That's what I wanted day one. A few injuries away is all. From that happening? I don't think so. I think a full healthy team, you can go with that lineup. No, that's all I have to say about this game. Disappointing, but you know, at the end of the day, it is what it is.